c'est terrible. Je viens de... mon micro marchait tout à l'heure et je viens de me rendre compte que du coup ça fait un épisode et demi entier que vous n'avez pas le son du jeu. Donc je sais pas quoi vous dire de plus. On va faire des gros cuts, hein, tant pis. Hein. Ah, je suis désolé, c'est terrible. Oh là là, je sais même pas quoi faire là pour le coup. Je sais pas quoi faire, je sais pas quoi vous dire. On va faire sans, hein, tant pis. Je suis vraiment désolé, c'était pas mon but. Je vais tout vous cut, mais vous cut de façon à ce que ce soit nickel. Il y a 1 heure en plus, j'ai fait des trucs qui sont trop bien. J'en suis désolé.
Good evening, Miss Howcroft.
I need blood, Doctor.
Who are you really, Miss Howcroft? I mean, apart from being a vampire.
Is that not enough for you, puny mortal? What do you require? Proof of my powers?
I'm curious to know who you were before becoming a vampire.
No, it was such a long time ago, I don't remember. Centuries of unholy life can have strange effects on one's minds, you see?
Tell me, Thelma, what do you really know about vampires?
I saw one and he saw me. I watched him hunt and kill. I saw his terrible wounds heal as his victim died. And then I knew I was saved.
You mean you actually saw a vampire? Here in London?
Yes, and it has been the answer to my pain. I must drink and kill to regenerate my decaying body. I am a vampire too.
You are no vampire. You are a delusional woman, convinced she is something she is not.
How convenient to call delusional anyone who does not share your precious rationale, Dr. Reed.
Tell me, Thelma, why do you feel so attached to Mr. Elwood? Why him?
I'm not sure, Doctor. I think we have a bond of some sort. We've both suffered so much. He's the only mortal I find interesting.
Do you plan to make him a vampire too?
Of course not. How could I inflict my curse on anybody else? I'm not that cruel, Doctor.
Would you say you and Mr. Elwood are romantically involved?
No. No, Thomas is a delicate soul. Even though he disguises it. But I am not the woman he needs. No, for I am a vampire, Doctor.
I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark.
I wish I could... blood boil with fever. The pain.
How are you this evening, Jonathan?
The Scowl that escaped from the hospital is eluding me. He must be caught.
Scowls are a risk to the balance we maintain. It needs to be stopped.
The head of the guard of Prewan stopped by to see Dr. Swansea.
You have nothing to fear. The guard would not risk openly challenging the Brotherhood. Even they are not that foolish.
Now that the hunters are aware of my presence, they could discover your whereabouts too.
Don't worry. I've evaded those jackals in the past, and I shall do so in the future. And besides, who would ever suspect the kind Samaritan Lady Ashbury?
I noticed there was no love lost between the Brotherhood and the Guard.
They share the same fascination in our species, but they diverge from any commonality in thought. Talk to Dr. Swansea if you wish to know more.
You certainly hate skulls.
No, not hate. I pity them. Damaged and broken for eternity. Can you imagine, Jonathan? Can you imagine what they must be suffering?
Do you think they can be trusted?
They are weaker than us in every sense. From their abilities to being able to control their hunger. There is a savagery in them.
I would not have labeled them all the same. I've met some that are quite clever, in fact. Much like people.
I am sorry. You should know Sycal is derived from slave. Vampires have never looked kindly on their lesser progeny.
When we were at the funeral, I had a feeling. I think I met my maker.
You do not have to tell me if you don't wish to.
Should I not?
In most circumstances, a vampire would not discuss his maker. There is a strong bond that exists between a maker and their progeny.
There is almost nothing to say. He appeared in a gush of blood, prattled off some riddles, and vanished without even telling me his name.
Be on guard, Jonathan. Whoever your maker is, he's obviously as powerful as he is elusive.
Goodbye.
Jonathan, have you got any news about Sean Hampton?
I'm still investigating. In the meantime, I have some questions.
All right, just ask.
Tell me, Edgar, have you ever heard about a vampire made of blood? I mean, without any physical form, but a shape of blood.
What are you talking about? Have you seen such a phenomenon yourself?
No, I was just daydreaming. Since blood seems to be the key of our existence, I imagined what could be the ultimate state of a vampire.
I see. Well, too bad you didn't see such a creature. It could have been a fascinating subject of observation.
What is the antagonism between your Brotherhood of St. Paul's Stole and the Guard of Priwen?
It is an old and sad story, Jonathan. The story of a betrayal and of a definitive schism.
Who betrayed who?
I suppose each side would tell you the fault lies with the other. This I know for sure. A long time ago, members of the Brotherhood chose to hunt down vampires.
How many are you in the Brotherhood?
You mean today? Not many. A dozen, perhaps even less since the war. We are scholars, Jonathan. We favor quality to quantity.
Tell me, Edgar, how did you meet Lady Ashbury?
I met her 9 years ago. I was working in Scotland at the time in a sanatorium the good lady visited from time to time. She subsequently offered me a position here, at the Pembroke Hospital.
Why offer you this position?
I'd already been experimenting with blood-borne diseases and transfusion methods. Without success, I'm afraid. How could I refuse such a fascinating creature? So, in 1911, I took charge of the Pembroke.
Pembroke Hospital. Why that name?
I'm not quite sure. I think it's meant to refer to the Earl of Pembroke. Perhaps it's someone she used to know?
Tell me. It's locked. Hello again.
Good evening.
Do you need
I'm afraid so.
throughout his?
You're working at the Pembroke Hot.
Good evening.
Evening, Dr. Reed.
Newton is conflicted about his feelings towards you. Would you like to talk about it, Oswald?
It makes me sad and angry. It feels like the beautiful thing we have is somehow tainted. It hurts to see him so lost.
His love for you is genuine. I'm certain he wasn't lying to me when he expressed his feelings for you.
Newton still has to accept it, knowing he'll be seen as a queer, a fairy, less than a man in those simple-minded bigots' eyes. Though he's more of a man than they'll ever be, so fuck them all.
Goodbye. Good evening, Xiaoshu.
晚上
What are you doing with your...
I've decided
That's very charitable of you. But why do it at night?
I've noticed that the most desperate people tend to go out after dark. Hence my presence, to help them when I can.
Giving out medicine? How can you afford to do that?
I am a rich widow, Dr. Reed. My departed husband left me enough money to last the rest of my life. I can spend some on those who don't have any.
Why don't you move to a better neighborhood?
I thought about it, I confess. To go back to the same empty home every day still hurts me a lot.
Why stay here then?
I am a woman of habit, Dr. Reed. And for now, I am happier being useful in a familiar place than I would be anywhere else.
How do you feel now that you're back in Whitechapel?
I've decided to follow your advice, sir. I won't forget the dead, but my efforts will be for the living.
I've no doubt. That is a wise and useful attitude in this part of town.
To be completely honest with you, I am also doing this for myself. If I'm destined to survive this epidemic, I need my life to have some purpose.
Do you still think about your departed husband?
Of course I do. I'll never forget my beloved Matthew, but how do I put it? Now I miss him more than I want him back.
I know what you mean. And I think it means you're getting better.
Maybe death will take me the way it took Matthew. Without warning and without mercy. But until then, I live on.
Goodbye, Good evening.
Wang,
Goodbye. You never... Do you need help?
To be honest,
I don't quite...
really? Free?
Daily routine.
Good evening.
It's fun.
Your disciple, Samuel, stole from the dead in Stonebridge Cemetery. I have proof of his crime and proof of his death.
No! Samuel was the best of us. So devoted, so zealous. He gave all he had for the cause. He tirelessly preached the good word.
He defiled the dead with his petty thefts. That's how he financed your misguided crusade.
Think what you will. When this city is saved, he will be praised for his devoted fortitude. He walked boldly into the mouth of abomination.
Your precious Samuel used you. He was an immoral crook.
If that's true, then and he will be my burden to bear during this endless night.
Why did you send Samuel to the cemetery, Tobias? What did you see there?
I sent him on a vision. A dream of a dreadful and laughing queen covered with blood, sleeping with the dead.
You said... Good evening, Mr. Whitaker.
It's Father Whit.
Don't you feel...
Faith,
No doubt you're...
blessed be your...
I have heard enough for tonight. Goodbye. Good evening.
If you're here for a reward...
I'm not here.
Doctor?
Do you require a...
Not me, but you're...
It's unusual to see someone so happy around here, especially considering the current situation.
Why should I be sad now? There've always been wars, disease, tragedy. There always will be.
That's an unusual way of seeing things in these trying times.
I don't see why I should shed a tear for another man's woes. I'm healthy, and I intend to stay so.
What help could I possibly be to your business?
That's simple. I already get good money from all those fleeing the war. Can you imagine what they'd be willing to pay if I could offer medical assistance too?
Mr. Bates, do not make me regret saving your life in this quarantine zone.
I understand, Dr. Reed, you're from a good family. Don't want to get your hands dirty. That's fine. I'll be happy to act as your middleman.
I'm no saint, but to take advantage as you do, you are a despicable man who could only prosper in these dark times.
So it's a no then. That's too bad. The Reed tonic could have really helped people, you know, saved lives. Isn't that what you do? I mean, people buy that Swamburgh shit.
What is your business exactly?
I offer fair lodgings for a modest price to the poor and weary of Whitechapel.
I see. And what about those who cannot pay?
Well, deals can be done, if you know what I mean. Money's not the only currency. After all, I'm not immune to a pretty face.
You obviously place yourself above the misery of Whitechapel, but you are as repellent an individual as I have ever met.
Begging your pardon, I thought you was a man who could appreciate the complexity of the modern world. Things ain't just black and white, you know.
Tell me, what's your honest opinion of the increasing violence in London?
People are just beginning to discover what we've always known. This city's rotten to the core. They just took their bloody time to wake up and notice it.
What do you mean?
People are acting like the violence is news. But it's always been savage down here. It just bubbles to the surface every now and again.
Have you heard?
Not really.
A man such as yourself, knee-deep in the muck of Whitechapel, must know more. Speak now.
Heard it closed after the owners died. Refugees don't want to come to Whitechapel no more. Scared, I hear.
You sound disappointed.
As long as she was there at the dispensary, it attracted more immigrants and kept my place full. Such a shame.
Why am I not convinced?
Maybe it's because you lack faith. Being a skeptic must be useful for a man of science.
You seem to have recovered well since your attack. Do you ever think about what happened to you?
Not much. It was a fucking nightmare. Savages, absolute bloody savages. Their appearance. Jesus. Made me want to puke.
You'd better not come back here. I won't be around next time to save you. I want to know everything about the recent violence, Cadogan. And I want the truth.
Well, rent may be a bit high, and yeah, I've had to evict a few people. But that's business, isn't it?
Take this as my final warning. You will not profit from the misery of others. Business is one thing, but what you do is quite another.
Really? What you gonna do? You ain't from here. You ain't Whitechapel, Doctor. You wouldn't know the first thing about playing dirty, even if you wanted to.
Since I took an oath to help...
Well...
Goodbye, Mr. Bates. Miss
Evening. Was I that evil to deserve such punishment? My only regret is that no one will mourn me, for I have never been loved.
Good evening.
I'm afraid.
You don't seem well.
Oh,
I can try.
whoa.
A gun, alcohol, and
Its effectiveness has been proven by many. Even the flu is no match for the Swanborough cordial.
Allô, allô. Oui. J'espère que mon micro il marche depuis tout à l'heure. Ça fait 2 épisodes que je tourne. Oh, ce serait terrible. Ce serait terrible. Attendez une seconde. Je vais juste checker quelque chose. Oh, c'est terrible. Je viens de... mon micro marchait tout à l'heure et je viens de me rendre compte que du coup ça fait un épisode et demi entier que vous n'avez pas le son du jeu. Donc je sais pas quoi vous dire de plus. On va faire des gros cuts, hein, tant pis. Hein. Oh, je suis désolé. C'est terrible. Oh là là, je sais même pas quoi faire là pour le coup. Je sais pas quoi faire, je sais pas quoi vous dire. On va faire sans, hein, tant pis. Je suis vraiment désolé, c'était pas mon but. Et je vais tout vous cut. Mais vous cut de façon à ce que ce soit nickel. Et il y a 1 heure en plus. J'ai fait des trucs qui sont trop bien. J'en suis désolé. Fallait bien que ça arrive. Oh, je suis vert. Bon. Oh, je suis dépité de ouf. J'ai enchaîné 2 épisodes en plus, c'est ça le pire. Chose que je ne fais jamais. Mais là, j'avais vraiment envie de les enchaîner. Donc je sais pas ce que ça va donner. J'espère que c'est... J'espère que hier c'était pas le cas aussi. Parce que sinon ça veut dire que ça fait plusieurs épisodes que je vous tourne dans la semaine où mon micro est pas allumé. Et donc bah merde quoi. Bon, j'étais en train de dire que je venais de tuer quelqu'un et que j'étais hyper content parce que ça y est, ça commençait enfin à jouer. Et donc voilà. Donc je sais pas quoi vous dire de plus. Je vais essayer de voir si je trouve pas le dernier mec. Je sais pas où il pourrait être en fait. Est-ce qu'il est dans une maison. Hop 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 hop. Je vois Pietescu, il est là-bas. J'arrive pas du tout à voir où il est le dernier. Je me souviens pas pour où il traîne en fait. Là c'est moi qui l'ai tué. Oh, c'est la garde de Priwen. Oh tu vas me faire chier quand même. Mais je crois qu'on sort de Whitechapel là, non? Ouais, on sort de Whitechapel. On sort de Whitechapel. J'espérais juste trouver quelqu'un. On va tuer le niveau... On va tuer le petit level qui est là-bas. Je vais les manger. Quoi? Je les ai tués. A priori je l'avais pas assez bien tué. Peut-être des choses intéressantes sur eux. Quarantaine, d'accord. Un anneau. D'accord, c'est tout ce qu'il y avait en fait. C'est vraiment la fin de la map. C'est marrant qu'il soit niveau 8 parce que... On s'est tapé vraiment que des niveaux supérieurs là jusqu'à maintenant. Je suis hyper confus, je sais pas quoi vous raconter de plus que ça fait 1h40 que je pars dans le vide du coup. Ah je me sens con, c'est terrible. Voilà, est-ce qu'il y a quelque chose? C'était du temps, j'ai pas besoin d'aller là-bas. Oh, on reste derrière quoi. J'ai pas besoin de te voir. Où est-ce qu'il est ce monsieur? Je sais pas quoi là. J'ai aucune idée d'où il pourrait être. Ça c'est chez Craniescu. Ouais. Bon. Est-ce que si je passe par là, je pourrais peut-être le trouver, non? Ah mais si, c'est le mec qui veut pas nous parler, c'est vrai, j'avais oublié. C'est le mec qui veut pas nous parler. Bon bah reste malade toi. Il faut être niveau 3. C'est vrai. Bon. On va s'arrêter ici, on a tué quelqu'un, c'était un bon épisode, malgré le fait que vous ne m'entendrez pas parler en fait. Ni au début ni à la fin. Je vous dis au revoir à tous et à la prochaine, c'était Sycal.